Hello, this is Jared playing Oxygen Not Included. In this episode, we're going to do a little refactoring of our base. So I'm going to bring the heavy wire system more over here. I've got it kind of spread out everywhere. We've got heavy wires here. We've got a power plant. That's going up here, going all the way over here, down here. It needs to be consolidated somewhat. I'm going to try to consolidate more on the far right side of my base, so along here. So obviously we want access to these steam turbines. We want access to the solar panels. And these aquatuners will need them as well. But we're going to try to get away from all the heavy wire around here. So we started off building some walling here, or flooring. And doing the same thing over here just to get in some new construction items. While that's going on, the emission from last episode, these dupes here, they're about to arrive. That's going to give us a lot more fossil, which can ultimately lead to more steel production, which is nice. We have both a rover and the dupes that have all the fossil from the last mission arriving. So I'm going to get them to drop off some of that. Actually, no, we'll drop that off right by the rock crusher. We'll generate some more lime. So here's the first change we have. We've got a new power plant over here. This is just hydrogen based. It's got a power control station, of course. Similar to the setup over here, except we've got 3 hydrogen generators instead of 1. And the smart battery is going to indicate start generating power only when it gets down to 80%, unlike 99 over here. The idea is, well, as soon as these guys have access to sun, and we're going to open that up for them right now, a solar panel will be generating. These guys will always generate power, but between these two, this system and this system here, I'm going to have preference to run these before hydrogen. And the reason for that, figure, this is just stuff I wouldn't mind cooling off, or the hydrogen, if we can save it for power on a rainy day, that would be a nice thing. Not that it'd be a huge difference between the two. Well, of course, we also have these two guys. Not that they're a big part of the power production, but they are there. Just adding a cooling line here. This is going to make sure that the temperature of the power plant doesn't get too hot over time. Now cut this guy right here to let that start flowing through pretty soon. Using lead radiant pipes and a few dotted spots, just really ensure that this doesn't get too hot. So having the rocket empty of fossil. Also made 4 of these. I used to have only 1 orbital data collection, and we're in need of these data banks. So figure why not actually have a bunch of them created. I'll send 4 dupes up in space, and we'll see how many we can create. That's because I'm working towards the radioactive, or rather the red bolt propulsion, so that we can go further into space and see how far we meet. We're actually more than halfway, so it shouldn't take us too long. With pretty much the last pieces of fossil being taken off the rockets, I think we're ready for this mission. So 4 dupes are on this. We're not going far. Just going to go to the atmosphere. And I guess we can send a rover down while we're up there. And we'll see how productive these 4 dupes are at creating databanks up in space. So they are now taking off. Let's have a look inside the rocket to see where we get. Well, first of all, I guess we're going to want to apply forever settings on all 4 of these machinery. Let's look at temperature. It's already pretty warm, but that is because of the fossil that was there before. We've got our hydrogen line that should be going around to help cool off this zone. We may, just to help that out, want to put in some radiant pipes made of iron. Let's say just dot it, 1 for each machine. We'll try that and see how that goes. I'll put a reading of the number of databanks. We're so far at 5. And we'll see how long it takes to get this achievement, or rather the research The other thing is, this rocket's going to eventually land. I'm going to put databanks here. Let's up the priority, so as soon as this lands, the databanks get here. If I have the rocket leave somewhere else, it won't leave without the databanks. So move the rock crusher over here. The idea is, first of all, I want that to be part of the new heavy watt wire system. But also, if we're producing lime, we might as well keep that lime close to where it's going to be consumed over here in the metal refinery. Investigating some damage. What, let's see, I made this out of steel. What did I make the piping out of? Oh, it's not that. Crud, okay, this, it's not getting out, it was actually bursting in the pipe. So that, yeah, it took some damage here. That's the actual pipe, not the actual machinery. But I think that fix is gonna solve that from getting any worse. I actually need to change the material. Alright, well, thankfully I caught that before it fully broke. Dupes have made almost 400 units of databanks. Calories are getting low, so let's send this rocket back so we can start analyzing these databanks and turn them into research. Next change on base is a new oxygen system. This is just going to go underneath all this production area here and on top of steam turbines. We've got 2 electrolyzers, 4 pumps, plus a hydrogen pump at the top that's going to operate when these both sense hydrogen, and we've got a filter here. We'll make that go for, I don't know, 30 or 60 seconds, something like that. Sure, 56. Alright, and then the other bit is we need to keep these machineries cool, so we've got radiant pipes visiting this, and we got to keep these guys cool too, so doing a pass here with our cooling brine line. Last piece being installed on this oxygen system, so there's our cooling line going all around, making sure the system's going to stay nice and cool. Water is going in. Currently it's a little coolness zone, well, warmed up a little bit, but we've got to insulate it in those pipes just in case. All that is left to do is power up this whole zone. So there is the 2 electrolyzers running. We've got 4 pumps of oxygen. They're both going to be sending oxygen. Let's make sure this is right. Oxygen into these 2 guys. All non-oxygen is going to go up here and out of the way. And once these tanks get 50% full, they're going to tell the respective pumps to turn off. So now that we've got these pumps filled up with oxygen, I'm going to pause it here for a moment and change the feed so this guy actually feeds the whole base. So I'm going to have to change some of these around, but we can also disassemble the old oxygen system that's been running forever in favor of this new one. Nice thing about this gets some prime real estate that's close to the base for other things. The research reactor is empty and disabled, so taking advantage of this, put in 2 transformers. Gonna put in wiring so that we're gonna get power for these doors on top, just so that they'll open and close a little bit more quickly than they currently do. Found a flaw in my plan. These 2 guys are flooded. Maybe that was not the right choice for location. Starting to disassemble my heavy watt electrical circuit in the far left side of my base. So these 2 transformers are now happy now that they're not flooded nuclear waste, and that's giving power to my bunker doors. So I removed a lot of the machinery that I was depending on for production stuff. My power plant here doesn't need to be here anymore. I've got rid of my material study terminal over here, because that's now at the top of the base. And I'm just wondering what to do with this electrical upgrade. I have a number of options. Well, two I can think of. One, I could painstakingly, because one thing I want to do, I want to replace all this wire with conductive wire. I could paint over each individual tile and just hope that I get everything. And put 2 transformers on it and hope that it doesn't break. And I could cut around and get out all of these heavy wire pieces all the way along. Just think that's a little crazy. So what I'm going to do instead, which may also be crazy, to be honest. Well, first of all, we're going to save, because this... I may be back redoing this next little bit. But it's just too painful in my mind to go over each individual circuit, so we're going to delete everything. And quickly set it back up. Now, I've got an oxygen system that's on a heavy wire system, so if things go wrong... I have that. There really is no life support system that I'm pretty certain we can go without for a short period of time. So here we go. Delete all the electrical wires. Even let's think down here. We'll already have conductive wire there, so we'll leave that alone. But get rid of that. Basically, all this heavy wire. This feels good. So getting rid of it up to about there. Let's just leave that alone for the time being. And this is, well, basically anything that's just regular wire should be going out, except for I think I've got a small circuit over here. We'll leave that alone. Alright, here we go. As I watch my base go dark and quiet, I can't help think why this might be a terrible idea. But continuing on, so far, I don't see why this is a bad thing. Because I've got the electrolyzers turned off, we're venting oxygen in the actual pipes. Because I'm producing that down here now. So now that we've got all the the wires out of the way, we're putting in new conductive wire, making this out of lead. Since we have tons and tons of lead, and we're going to have multiple circuits. I think we're going to have a north, a south, and a central, and the only thing the central line is going to feed is this guy here. So some of this stuff has come back online now. For instance, this electrolyzer is still working. Some of the automation over here in the stables. Happy with how it's going so far. One thing I really like is just the fact that I know I don't have any circuits I missed. Because I typically will overlay an upgraded wire on top. And we'll always undoubtedly miss one. If I delete everything, then kind of guarantee nothing's going to go wrong. Build a compost. This is something I often don't do in my playthroughs. Maybe because I don't get far enough where I actually run out of dirt. Because I find the game gives you a lot of dirt no matter where you are, even on this small asteroid. But now we've got a compost. We can convert polluted dirt to just regular dirt. So now it's time for more recreational buildings. Got a hot tub and 2 saunas. Now this is where things get a little bit risky in the sense that I have not done this very often. But I've got the plan here, putting in an aqua tuner with some water that's going to create steam. Get a gas pump which should pump steam, not something I normally pump, but steam is going to be going into this gas reservoir, and this is going to control whether the pump goes on or not at 50%. The idea and hope is this is going to go through this area, and I won't turn this pump on until it's hot enough. And actually, how am I going to do that? Easy enough. I can just snap this wire and reconnect that later. So I'm going to make sure this area is well and hot. That's one thing I remember from doing this way back. You want this well hot enough before this pump goes, because if you put steam in that's not hot enough, it will turn to gas in the pipe, or liquid in the pipe, and that's not good. Just before I sealed this off, I decided I want 2 temperature gauges. One that's going to have a NOT gate to tell the pump to run, because I only want to run if it's hot enough. And another one to tell this guy not to run if it's too hot. So now we're doing some rocket rearranging. First of all, I'm going to move the 2 rockets over. This Explorer's going up. Actually, it's going to have a brand new platform. This one's going to move over here. So we've got 2 new platforms. This is going to be for the Red Bolt engine Explorer. And this is going to be for natural gas. So those 2 rockets are landing. Once this lands, we'll get rid of this and switch that out for... I don't think I've ever done this. Actually changed an engine. I'm sure you can do that. Hoping you can do that. Building out everything out of here, out of obsidian, just because I'm expecting it to be very hot with the Red Bolt engine. Getting rid of much of the stuff that's around here, just because everything, as I mentioned, is going to get really hot because of this new Red Bolt rocket that's going to be getting here soon. Let's make priority building that ladder so we can get the dupe that's there back. Okay. Let's see, plus Red Bolt engine, awesome. It's going to be made out of steel. Now, here's the thinking. This is going to be charging here, but I need to have the dupes to be able to safely get up here. I don't want Red Bolts when this thing's full to be firing this way. I'm thinking best thing to do is just redirect this. Probably in this direction for use for other things. We'll see how this works. We're starting with the liquid loading with all this. So we've got Aquatuner covered in water. This is going to convert this all to steam at time. Should made that a vacuum. I'm just realizing that now. That's okay. I think there's a way. There is an easy way around this, actually. Why don't I just do this? Because I want steam and only steam in there at some point. Because everything the pump picks up, I want to be steam. So let's give this guy some power. I'll connect that. We'll create a vacuum right here. I also want to create a vacuum here, but not until we've sealed this off. Now, I have discovered something that I don't think I've ever used before. Maybe because the last time I've done this, it didn't have an output. But it sends a green signal when the Red Bolt storage is full, which is really nice. Because I can essentially disable this guy when I need to charge this up. I mean, Red Bolts are firing past this and into my Red Bolt engine. That being the case, I don't think I actually need this bit. I'll watch it when it actually happens. I don't know if this guy can consume like half the Red Bolts and the other half could go out just in case. So it doesn't go and fly in the face of the dupes. I'm just going to put that there and have it go down into the base. This is going to have to be a non-dupe area if we're going to do that. Well, let's not get rid of the automation wire. It's a very funny looking rocket. I've never built a solo safe air nose cone on a Red Bolt engine. Seems ridiculous. I would have always built the safe air module, but now that this rocket is bigger on the inside, I can see a reason for doing this. So very excited to have this go out. It's got to charge first, but we can actually go out and see a lot more stuff in space than we've done so far. We're also going to put, as long as research was done for this the cartographic module. We have a telescope on board, but I think the combination is going to really help speed up the unlocking of a lot of stuff. I don't know if I trapped any dupes in there, but let's make that a high priority task. So now creating vacuums, going to have vacuum around this guy. Probably a little bit of excessive, but I do like the fact that these two plates are separate by vacuum. And of course we want to vacuum over here so that we get pure and only steam once things get hot enough. So we now have a vacuum in these two chambers. So we're warming up this liquid. It's going to be liquid water. It's going to be cycling through. I guess we can connect that now. So that water is going to be warming up so that it is hot enough to be able to go into the tub. And over here we're making steam. We're going to make sure this guy doesn't get too hot. And we're going to make sure this pump only runs when it's hot enough. Time for the dupes to get artistic. So we've got two new modules. Got an orbital cargo module, putting steel in there, 800 kilograms. That's for a platform and a rover. So we want to send this rocket up somewhere in space and land these two things, plus do a little exploration. Just before we take off, I want to make sure that I've got everything I want, probably water being at the top of the list, given the fact that that's going to make oxygen, and food. We'll bring some food in a little bit. But I think that is it for today. So we have our Red Bolt engine. We have it charged. We've got it fully ready to go, apart from the fact that we need to put in some food and water. We also completely renovated our base. So we've got recreational. Actually, let's verify this is recreation. It is not. No industrial building. Is that for you guys? Which I don't need anymore anyway. Assuming that's what that is. But yeah, I've got that room. The electrical circuit is extremely different. I used to have heavy watt wires. You can even see this guy from the past. I guess we can get rid of that. But yeah, that's completely changed now. All our heavy watt wire now is over here, out of the way. From this section all the way to the top, to the solar panels. We've got power to those doors. And we've got a lot more room here for more construction, more recreation rooms. This is just the start. Let's see if that did the trick. There it is, recreation rooms. The dupes can use a hot tub. Water's still heating up. We don't have steam yet, but in a few cycles or so, I'm sure that will be running once again. Alright, well, thank you so much for watching. Very excited because the base has been improved, but also, mostly, because we have a Red Bolt engine fired up, nearly ready to go. We're going to go out in space and explore some really cool stuff, send some rovers down on some faraway asteroids. I will hopefully see you in future episodes where I do that. Thank you so much for liking, subscribing, and just watching along.